Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. I am Alice Aubrey from Democratic Services. The subcommittee today is made up of councillors Jackie Davies, Liz Green and Peter Hurlinger. The first item of business is the appointment of a chair for the meeting. May I ask the subcommittee members to nominate a licensing subcommittee? Sorry, getting feedback.
Yes, we have an echo. Yes, I would like to nominate Councillor Hurlinger, please.
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much. That's agreed. Councillor Hurlinger is in the chair.
Thank you. This meeting is being broadcast live, recorded and will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel. The agenda is available on the Council's website by following the links to your Council and then going on to Council meeting calendar, and you'll find this meeting on today's date. The quorum for this meeting is 3 members and all will be needed present at all times. If any subcommittee member or the legal advisor loses connections, we will pause to allow them to rejoin as soon as possible. To reduce feedback, could everybody mute their microphone while not speaking? After the subcommittee has heard the submission, I will ask if members have any questions on the submission. Members can also indicate they wish to speak by using the chat function. Please do not use the chat function to ask questions of officers or members. Remember that all meeting participants on the video call will be able to see what has been entered onto the chat. Please also keep mobile phones in silent mode or switch off during the meeting. I'm Councillor Peter Hurlinger, and I'll now just go run through the other participants in the meeting. They are Councillor Jackie Davis, Councillor Liz Green, Guy Bishop, who's the legal advisor, Hannah Smith, who's the licensing officer, the applicant, Mr. Richard Turk from Turk Launches, and their agent Nick Landors from Pobbleston Allen. And we also have one other person, that's Stephanie Wicks, in the meeting, as well as Alice Aubrey, the Democratic Services Officer who opened the meeting. I now move to declarations of interest. Do any member of the subcommittee have a pecuniary interest, non-registrable interest, or other registrable interest to declare in relation to this application?
No.
I don't see any indication, and I don't have either. Next item is the minutes. Can the minutes of the meeting held on 12th of August 2025 be confirmed as a correct record?
Yes, agreed.
That's agreed. I see this green nodding. The parties have already been notified of the usual procedure for licensing hearings as set out on pages 3 to 5 of the agenda. Paragraph 57 on page 4 of the agenda pack deals with notification of the decision following the subcommittee's deliberations. This will be firstly by confirmation by email later today, and full details and reasons will follow within 5 working days. Are there any objections to proceeding on basis of these procedures? I see assent from the various parties. So now moving on to the hearing. The Aphrodite Town Inn Pier 68 High Street, Kingston upon Thames, KT1 1HN. Application for premises license under the Licensing Act of 2003, which is on Appendix A of page A1 of the agenda. Can I now call upon Hannah Smith, the licensing officer, to introduce the application?
Thank you, Chair. This application relating to the Aphrodite Town End Pier 68 High Street, Kingston upon Thames, KT1 1HN, was made on the 10th of July 2025 by Pobbleston Allen, acting as agent on behalf of Turk Launches Limited. The application seeks the grant of a new premises licence to authorise the following licensable activities: the sale by retail of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, Monday to Saturday from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday from 12 p.m. till 9 p.m. Relevant pages of the application form and a plan of the premises are attached on Annex 1. The proposed hours of operation are laid out on Annex 2. I can confirm that the applicant has advertised the application by way of public notices displayed around the premises and the site and within a local newspaper. The application was also made available on the council's website. I can confirm that all responsible authorities received a copy of this application and no representations were received from them. In accordance with the council's licensing policy, 237 addresses were consulted in writing and informed that an application had been received. Initially, there was 4 valid representations were received from other persons. However, one of these has now since withdrawn. This is the one on page A30. So is now no longer needed to be considered. Representations make reference to matters that relate to the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance and public safety. Copies of these representations, so that remains as 3 valid representations, are on Annex 4. Copies of all representations have been forwarded to the applicant and have been made available to the licensing subcommittee members. A map showing the approximate location of the premises is attached on Annex 5 with photographs on Annex 6. In considering this application, the committee is required to take into account the Secretary of State's guidance section issued under the Section 182 of the Licensing Act and its own statement of licensing policy. Relevant paragraphs on Annex 7. If the application is granted, the applicant has proposed a number of additional measures to promote the licensing objective. These measures would be attached to the license as conditions and they're laid out in Annex 3. However, can I just bring it to your attention that there is a small typo on page A26. The condition offered on number 2 should read as follows. Alcohol shall only be displayed consumed by customers who are eating substantial refreshment on the premises where the consumption of alcohol is ancillary to the sale of food. Currently the word says alcohol, which is confusing, so the correct word should be food. This will be updated. The agent for the applicant has also provided additional material. This was shared in advance of the hearing. I will happily answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Hannah Smith?
No, I'll save mine for the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. We now then move on to the applicant's submission. I can now ask the applicant to give a summary of the application. Paragraph 47 on page 3 of the agenda pack deals with the length of the time an applicant can speak. This is 5 minutes to present the case. The officer, Alice, will advise you when you have 1 minute left of those 5 and also when your time is up.
Sorry, can I just confirm, do we not get an additional set of 5 minutes because there's somebody else addressing the committee? That's what your papers said.
There's a closing submission.
No, it's only 5 minutes, just 5 minutes for every other person. So there's one other person, so it's 5 minutes, equal time for both.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much indeed then. So the application is for a boat moored on the Thames, but it is not for a boat that's going to move along the Thames. It's going to be permanently located at Town End Pier. When you look at the plan and the photographs of the part of the agenda, you can see that there are seats for 40 people inside and 2 small decked areas external to that. One seating 16 people and one seating 8. And that the small decked area seating 8 people is actually on the river side of the boat rather than the bank side of the boat. So the housing of the boat itself will further shield the residents from any noise, if there is any noise, from people dining outside. It's very much a cafe style operation. During the day, the emphasis will be heavily on teas, coffees, baked goods, and throughout through the day, it will transition into a bistro type operation. Alcohol will be available and can be sold only when substantial food is available and can only be sold to people who are seated and enjoying substantial food. So if somebody wants to buy a coffee and a drink, that wouldn't be permissible. Alcohol can only be consumed by people buying substantial refreshment. So it's a very small venue. A lot of consideration were given to the licensing hours prior to the application being submitted, and the committee will be well aware of the council's own licensing policy relating to hours, and however you define these premises, cutting off the sale of alcohol at 10 p.m. is well within all of the hours within the statement of licensing policy. So it's important to note there are 3 main conditions relating to the sale of alcohol. One is that substantial food and suitable beverages will be available when alcohol is being sold. 2, alcohol can only be consumed by customers who are enjoying substantial refreshment and at all times the sale of alcohol will be ancillary to the sale of food. And the third being that the off sales of alcohol are purely for those people who are seated on the external decks. So it's not going to be somewhere people can come in, buy drinks and take it away from them and drink elsewhere. I'd like to pass now to Richard so he can give some brief background on himself and on Turk's launches and on the town end pier. Richard.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. Just a bit of background about who I am, what we are, and some general information. We're actually Kingston's oldest family business, been operating in Kingston upon Thames since 1710. I'm also from a family of royal watermen to His Majesty the King, and I have the great privilege of continuing that as I am a current royal waterman. And we're continuing the generations of royal watermen from Kingston upon Thames. The town end pier we've been at for some 25 years, based there, and before that we had a main base down at Kingston Bridge, which we still operate from a pier down there. At town end pier we obviously operate passenger boats, we have residential moorings, some other boating businesses and tenants there. We are experienced hospitality operators. I also own and run a cafe and floating restaurant down in Richmond upon Thames. And we've operated from these premises since 2021 without any issues. I've been head of the family business for 25 years now, and have had many licensed premises during this time. I've listened to the concerns of the residents and submitted representations, and would like to reassure the committee that I intend to operate the Aphrodite professionally, carefully and due diligently without any negative impact on any people living at my current town end pier site and those nearby residents. Thank you.
I think we're basically at 5 minutes, so we're not, judging by my watch. So
thank you for staying well within the 5 minutes. Can I ask whether members have any questions of the applicant and his agent? Councillor Davies, would you like to go first?
Yes, I've got a few questions actually. Just the plan. I mean, I'm a words person, not a pictures person, to be honest. And I read off sales will be only sold on deck, or only for consumption on deck. Sorry.
Right.
On the plan, which I won't be able to find now, the drawing with the shaded areas, it looks as if there is a bit coming out onto the jetty, onto the actual pier with tables and chairs. Is that right?
So yes, so that's part of the deck. And I briefly said in my presentation that is not on the riverbank side. If you look at that plan in conjunction with the photograph on A33, which orients the boat on the water, you can see that that small area that Councillor Davies you've just asked about, although not visible directly on those photographs, because it's not visible, you can tell it's on the jetty side of the boat. Okay,
so it's actually part of the boat, not part of the jetty.
Yeah, can I just clarify that? Yes, it's part of the boat. There's no outside seating on any floating pontoons, decks, jetties, nothing. It's part of the boat. Everything's on the boat.
That's how I saw it to start with, but then we just had a bit more of it. Second question, I was at the Oval last night and there were people trying to leave with glasses or plastic cups in their hand. How are you going to stop people taking alcohol off the boat? Say they see a friend on the promenade and they wave at them and try and walk out with a glass. How will you stop that?
Well, like all venues, we won't allow that. You know, we're not a bar, we're not a nightclub, we're going to be a cafe. It's really a very small cafe. It's mainly the reason why the whole thing came was on the passenger boats. We obviously carry thousands of people into and out of the borough every summer, and our bars are very small on the boats, and we don't have coffee machines on there because of the size and the power requirements and all the rest of it. And we get huge amount of uptake on teas and coffees, especially at the beginning of season and end of season when it's not so hot. And this was one of the reasons why people turn up early at our pier, half an hour early. They're waiting for a boat. Where can I grab a coffee? And we get that a lot. And so if we have a cafe there, it's just an area to give people a chance to grab a coffee or tea, and also a waiting area. If there's bad weather, instead of waiting on the pier in the rain, they can wait in the cafe. So that was the business for it, really. We don't anticipate doing alcohol. We're not going to be that venue. We're really not.
And with it being very much a sort of a seated bistro with a smaller number of customers, it's significantly easier to ensure that people, when they've finished their meal and finished their drinks, the drinks are taken away from them. And I'm a big cricket fan. I go to Trent Rockets a lot, and I understand your point about people taking drinks away. And as a Trent Rockets fan, I hope we beat the Oval Invincibles. But it's very much a different style of operation, much easier to keep track of people's behaviour. Removal of glassware will be, somewhat low down the risk threshold.
So can I just say something then? So I'm Stephanie. Actually, I can see your boats right opposite. So
Stephanie Wicks, you will have a chance to sort of present your case later on.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Next question. Moving on.
One more question, Councillor Davis.
Sorry, just one last question about music levels.
Fine.
Can you just talk about music, background music? What's it going to be? Is it going to be background music, or how loud will it be, and what's it for?
Before Richard answers that, I will just draw your attention to the fact that there's a condition, condition number 7, which says that loudspeakers shall not be located in the entrance or outside the premises, and that would very much be music being projected to those people sitting in the decked area. So there will be none of that. But in terms of music, Richard, background music only inside, to just to create a small atmosphere.
Yeah,
would that be
background music. Background music only.
Thank you. No more questions. Thank you.
Councillor Green.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. So I wanted to ask about the outdoor seating. I appreciate that your answer to Councillor Davis's point about, because it was not clear whether it was going to be on the jetty and sort of make it difficult to walk past. So thank you for that one. But the outdoor seating that's on what I assume is the front of the boat, the bit on the boat, if you like, the
deck.
The terms are the deck on the boat rather than by the jetty. Your hours ask for sale of alcohol till 10 p.m. And therefore you would normally have drinking up time after the sale of alcohol in a pub or a restaurant. And often we say that outdoor areas need to be vacated by 10 p.m. So pub gardens and things, to stop public nuisance. How will you deal with if you've got people who at 10 to 10 have bought another bottle of wine, they're enjoying themselves on a nice summer evening, and they're continuing to be drinking out there after having finished their meal for some considerable time afterwards, as people can have a tendency to do. So that's what I'm trying to understand, how that will be managed.
Well, like any licensed operation, if my staff are going home at 10 o'clock, we're certainly not going to sell a bottle of wine at 10 to 10 and sit there for another half an hour, because my staff will be pretty cheesed off. They'll want to go home. And so I think it'll be sensible half an hour before, last sales of alcohol, that kind of thing, and drinking up time. Like any responsible licensed premises will do, there'll be some operational demands in there and conditions.
So what you're trying to do is to have everyone vacate by 10 o'clock so that your staff can do the clear up and get home.
We're not running past 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So the idea is that you wouldn't have a problem with the outdoor area has to have been vacated by 10 o'clock, because that is your plan anyway.
We're closing at 10, so no, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Have you any other questions?
No, that Councillor Davis covered the rest for me. Thank you.
And I would like to ask just one quick question. You indicated about noise, the loudspeaker sort of condition is trying to eliminate that. Lighting is another sort of potential source of apprehension for local residents. Can you briefly explain sort of what measures you are putting in place to try and control lighting, particularly during the winter, so there's no light pollution on residents?
We have lighting. Yes, sorry, we have lighting on all our piers. Obviously, safety. The piers are in operation for various other businesses, my own passenger boats, residents that live there, floating residents. So we have to have lighting. It's on the piers, already. There'll be lighting within the cafe. Yes. I don't think it's going to be like Blackpool illuminations and booming out. No, I don't think you've got any concerns there.
Thank you. That was all I wished to ask. On responsible authorities, as set out in the report, no representation received responsible authorities. So we'll move on to the other persons, which is Stephanie Wicks. As set out on the report and confirmed by the licensing officer, 4 valid representations were received from other persons. One of the representations has since been withdrawn. One of the other persons has registered to speak, and I now call upon Stephanie Wicks to have up to 5 minutes to speak, and Alice will advise you when you have 1 minute left, and also when your time is up.
Okay, hello, thank you. Well, as I say, I'm a resident of the Anglers, and so I can see your boats right at this very moment. So I don't know if I'll need 5 minutes. Obviously, we do have a concern. I see the party boats, I see the daytime boats, but of course I see the nighttime boats as well. And I think perhaps the name that you've chosen for this new cafe as Aphrodite, I think it struck a concern with us, because obviously, well, I say us, I'm speaking for myself, but obviously there are other residents who are concerned about this. So I think the name was like, oh my God, is this going to be like a disco style or something? So if I can I ask questions during this 5 minutes that I have, or, can I have like a conversation, or do I have to carry on speaking and just place my case?
It's making a statement, but you can raise points which will be answered.
Okay, well, I think obviously we are concerned about, you've placed it very nicely that it's cafe style, etc. But of course, it isn't always cafe style, and there are lots of party boats. I myself don't have a particular issue with that, but there are occasions when it is quite noisy, and it's great to see people enjoying themselves, and I think it's a fantastic business that you have there. And in fact, my uncle used to work for Thames Launches at one time, many years ago. So I think our concerns are that, currently you run a good service, but obviously we don't want revellers with extra noise, and obviously all the associated services that go with that. So it's not just running that operation, is it? It's and serving the public. To do that, you've got extra deliveries, rubbish collection, pumping out of the waste, which obviously when that happens, I smell it if I'm out tending to my plants or whatever. So there are quite a few concerns that go with this operation. I do understand, I do hear what everyone has said, but I think we just need, obviously you've explained it very well, but I think the party boat issue has to come into it, because obviously if your party boat is, I don't know, going at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, then you will have people congregating there, obviously perhaps drinking and eating in preparation to go on the boats. So by the time they discharge from those boats a few hours later, they're probably going to be quite merry as it is, and all concentrated in that space. Whereas at the moment, they're obviously coming in slowly because there is no particular place to wait prior. Well, you've got the jetty there, but of course, as you say, it is open to all winds and weathers and everything. So obviously I see the people waiting there, especially when we've had the very hot weather. You wonder how they can obviously sit there waiting for the boat to come in. So so I think it is those issues, particularly the party boat. I think particularly the name that you've chosen seems to, in my head, it sounds more like a disco than a cafe. And I'd also like to ask a question. Is the bar actually going to be in the sort of hull of a boat, the shell of a boat that's sitting there and has been sitting there like that for, well, probably ever since I came to live here, which seems to be all ripped out at the moment? Is that what Aphrodite is going to be? So I think that's probably me, really. So I've obviously stated my case, that we have concerns about noise, the extra services that it will need, and especially the party boats, and also to ask whether this operation is going to run all year round, because obviously your boats at the moment don't operate in the winter. So I think that's everything I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. The procedure now is for councillors to put any questions they may have to the to Stephanie Webbs. Zana Smith want to come in?
Sorry, can I just ask Alice? I've just received an email from Kevin about one of the other objectors wanted to join. I just wanted to just query that if they were missing someone.
Not that I'm aware of, so we'll talk about that offline, I think.
Okay.
Councillors, do you wish to ask any question of Stephanie Wiggs?
No, I don't think so. I think
Yeah, just to say that all the bedrooms in this block all face onto the river. So of course we are aware when, I mean, I go to bed quite late, but you know, I'm not all people are me. So you know, when the party boats come back at like midnight, it's very audible.
Thank you. We'll move now to closing statements, at which point sort of the applicant can
Sorry, excuse me. Can somebody answer some of those? Excuse me.
The procedure is now that we move to closing statements.
There's no point
please.
in me attending this meeting if you don't answer some of those questions that I've just put forward.
Sorry.
Councillor Green.
Sorry, Chair. I was just going to say, I'm aware that we don't do cross-examination, just let the residents know, but are we able to now ask the applicant some further questions? You're on mute, Peter. Sorry, Councillor Hurlinger.
Yeah, the legal advisor was indicating that was okay.
I think go ahead. I can see Richard and Nick both want to respond anyway, because I think you know, it's not really quite what they were saying earlier, but perhaps they can just respond to the points as they see fit. I mean, they'll do that in closing anyway, but you may want to just make a quick answer.
I think it's only fair that points raised by Ms. Wicks are addressed, and I'm going to quickly address I think there was one question about, is this to be a year-round operation? And I think very much the intention, yes. That I do think the issue of the party boats is it's certainly not this application. This application is not an application for party boats. There are operators, and I think I'm going to bring Richard in on this, but there are operators from other parts of the river that operate in this area, and those aren't Turk Launches businesses anyway. Richard?
They are. They are the ones that I see. They discharge right opposite my flat. They are.
Yeah, hi. I'll just quickly come back to Stephanie. Just with the name, that's just the name of the boat. I bought it with that name. It's not going to be the name of the cafe. So I don't know why that's.
Oh right. Aphrodite is not the name of the
It's
cafe.
just the name of the boat.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, we haven't got a name yet. But so I don't know why that's such an alarm, or it's alarmed you and residents.
Well, because it sounds
anyway,
like disco, I think.
Is it okay? Okay, sorry about that. Just as far as the party boats, just so all the councillors understand, again, yeah, this application has nothing to do with our party boats, but just for clarification, we do not pick up parties, private charters, weddings, birthdays, corporate events from Town End Pier. We pick up at our main pier at just by Kingston Bridge in the town centre. Why? Because of residents. So we don't drop them off late. We don't pick them up there. So I think Stephanie was concerned that they'd go here to this cafe, which is miraculously sort of sounds like you think I'm going to turn it into a bar. I'm not. So that they can pick up and drop off there. No, we don't do that. Completely separate operation. This is not what we're doing. It's just it really is going to be a cafe. And why have we applied for an alcohol license? Because some people might not want a coffee on a busy, hot summer's afternoon. They might want a glass of wine or a beer. You know, I don't want to run a bar. I don't want to run a pub. It's not me. It is simply a cafe, what it is. There's no hidden agenda there at all.
Councillor Green.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So I just want to check, is there any outdoor cover for the outdoor seating? Does it have any cover proposed? Because obviously that makes a difference to whether people are sitting outside in the middle of winter or not, or any heaters or any of that kind of thing. And then just before you answer that, the second question I had was, will it all be table service? Because I think the resident mentioned a sort of bar area, but that sort of implies come up, get your drink, go and sit down. Or is it going to be table service, or come up, order your food, order your drink, and then go and sit down? What's the process? Because there's different.
We haven't finalised operational needs yet. It depends how busy it is. Obviously, if we do table service and we've got lots of staff there, that's a lot of extra cost. If we've only got, a handful of people coming in for coffees. So I think we'll start with non-table service. If we get busy, then yes, we'll go to table service.
Okay.
And I think on that point, during the day when it is more cafe style, that would be come to the bar counter, make your order, receive your order, and go and sit down. But when you've transitioned into the evening in a more bistro style, sit down, receive your menu, place your order, and things are brought to your table as you would expect in a restaurant. Yeah.
And will there be cover? Sorry, Peter. The other question was, will there be cover for the outdoor seating or any heating outdoors?
Richard, you're on mute.
We haven't got any plans for heating at the moment, but yes, that people might want some sun, but they certainly will want some shade. So there'll be some canopies or umbrellas, but pub style garden type umbrellas, if you like, out on the foredeck.
Okay, but there's no plan. Sorry, just to push this point. There's no plan for heaters. So obviously, summer under an umbrella, that's one thing. Middle of winter, that's not going to be sitting outside.
No.
Thank you.
No, I think everyone will be inside in the winter.
Councillor Davis.
Yes, thank you. Feel free to save this for your closing statements, but I was interested in the comment about waste and deliveries that we hadn't touched on at all. So by all means, cover that later. Thank you.
I'd like to move now to closing statements. Would Stephanie Wick like to go first, please?
Okay, well, thank you very much for hearing my case and obviously answering my questions. Yes, obviously there is more to all these operations when you start and dig into it. From first of all hearing it's just a cafe, but obviously thinking about the rudimentaries that, it's an all year round operation and it's going to operate different ways, obviously sort of cafe style during the day and then more bistro style in the evening. I hear what you say about the party boats not picking up and dropping off here, although there are certainly occasions when maybe they're the private hires, I don't know, they certainly do operate that way from across my flat here. So yeah, so it'd be interesting to hear about, you know, the extra things like deliveries, rubbish collection, the pumping out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, obviously, I hope that, you know, it settles down and operates well. But I think it was good to have this meeting and raise the concerns that we have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And would the applicant and the agent like to make their closing submission?
Yes, thank you very much indeed. And I'm just going to address that last point first. There is a condition already offered as part of the application that there be no waste or recyclable materials, including bottles, removed or placed from the premises after 11 p.m. and before 7 a.m. If the committee wanted to extend that to include pumping out, I'm sure that the applicant will be okay with that. And that would address that final point by just extending, you know, or adding some additional words to a condition already proposed. The application was carefully constructed to balance the commercial operation and needs of the premises with those legitimate concerns of the local community. The hours sought are very much within the hours that the statement of licensing policy predetermined to be, you know, a reasonable balancing act between those two competing interests. The size of the premises is extremely modest, 40 people inside, and then 2 small additional outside areas, which add some 24 seats at their very peak.
Yeah, but sorry again to interrupt. There is the operation that's carrying on there at the moment with the boat.
Sorry, Stephanie.
Okay.
This is the chance for the
Can't
applicant to
interrupt
make
the closing statement of the applicant.
Thank you.
As part of the application, regulated entertainment is not part of this application. To finally address the point, were this to turn into a party boat, a major variation will be required, and probably a new license would have to be applied for. This thing cannot morph into a party boat. It is going to be stationary, you know, throughout its operation. The conditions have been carefully curated to address all of the concerns that the police and environmental health officer might have brought, and the committee can give great weight, as stated in the section 182 guidance, to the absence of representations from any of the responsible authorities. There are extensive conditions that limit or restrict the sale of alcohol. There are extensive secured CCTV conditions. There are extensive conditions relating to ensuring that the sale of alcohol doesn't happen to anybody under the age of 18. There's a Challenge 25 policy, refusals log, etc., etc. Close attention has been paid to the fact that there's no loud music being played. And as I say, the committee can give great weight to the fact that there are no responsible authority representations. And in the absence of any direct evidence that this application may undermine any of the licensing objectives, we respectfully suggest that the application should be granted as applied for, with the comment that the applicant is very willing to extend that condition and number 7 to include pumping out.
Thank you for attending. The subcommittee will now withdraw and make its decision. The decision will be confirmed to all parties by email, and the full decision with reasons will be then sent to all parties within 5 working days. Can we reconvene the meeting straight away? And that ends the councillors licensing subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you all. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.